So let's say that you have 200 billion mods and that you have done like I suggested you in the other videos, so you compacted all of your weapon mods into a huge weapon pack that includes like 200, 300 weapons, so you have complete control of your level lists, how they spawn, where they spawn, and now you want these weapons to be more realistic in the way that their damage depends on the ammunition and on the barrels rather than on the receivers. Because in Fallout 4, just by changing the receiver, advanced armor piercing receiver, hardened bullshit OP receiver, the damage can be multiplied per 2, per 3, or even per 4. And you end up having weapons that are almost identical, but for example, one does 30 damage, the other one does 200 damage, just because the receiver is different. Now let's be honest, the damage doesn't depend on the receiver. It depends on the ammunition and on the barrel. So here I'm going to show you how to edit the receivers. You may want to just edit one of them and delete all the others, because every weapon that you inject in your mod pack will have a dozen of receivers, and when you have so many weapons added with your mods, you can't just edit 12, 15 receivers of every single one of all of these. So you may want to delete all the improved receivers and edit the damage base of the weapon to match the damage it would have if it had the maximum receiver on it. So you go to the weapon section of your mod, you go down below, you edit the damage base. This way you touch the recoil. You just need to go to aim models, change an aim model the way you want, and then assign the corresponding aim model to your weapon. So you don't control in this game the recoil of a weapon in the weapon section, but in the aim model section. You change the aim model, and then you go in the weapon section, you assign the corresponding aim model. So once you've done this, you have controlled your recoil, you have controlled your damage base, you can now get rid of the receivers. How do we do that? Let's take a new mod I haven't touched yet and I haven't included in my pack yet. This one. Object modification. Sort by alphabetical order on the editor ID. Attachments, scope, damage. Just get rid of these. We don't want just an attachment that this says, oh, okay, plus 80% damage, like out of nowhere. No, you need to edit your weapon in the editor, or you'll break immersion if you see this in game. So these are the receivers. Every single one of these adds certain powers. I feel that most of them are just overpowered. So I'll get rid of all of them, besides just one semi-auto receiver and one automatic receiver. Now this weapon will have just 2 receivers. What you can do this way, and now the problem is that the fire rate of a weapon is dictated by the receiver. So since all these weapons come from different mod authors, weapons that should have same fire rate may end up having a different fire rate. So you can just take a paper and decide, oh, let's say all of these caliber, of the weapons with this caliber that are new, they get this sort of fire rate. If they have this caliber and they are, let's say, older, they take this fire rate. A weapon like a SCAR will have this one. An old AK-47 will have a lower fire rate even if it uses similar ammunitions. So on for the pistols, the submachine guns. So you can say give a better overall continuity to your game. So this set speed, this is the fire rate. If you want to change the fire rate, you can just go in game and see how it feels. Usually 1.2 is the real fire rate of a SCAR. This one just tells you that it is automatic. Just the one you need to touch is just this. The rest is value, weight, action point cost, and so on. Because of course in the semi-auto it doesn't say that it's set to automatic. Now, what problem we have created right now? When a certain weapon spawns in the hands of a certain enemy, and to do that, of course, you have to add it to the level lists, and I've done other videos to teach you how to do that, and you control all the level lists just with one mod and without derping your game with injecting quests. So, when a certain weapon spawns in the hands of a certain person, the weapon has to have a certain attachment. So let's say that a weapon has 5 kinds of muzzles, 4 kinds of barrels, 5 kinds of receivers. This weapon will just pick one of each from a certain pool. So now we have a problem because the pool that had all the receivers now misses some receivers, even if it's still referencing to them. So the game will end up picking a receiver that doesn't exist, and the game will crash. So what we have to do now is that we have to delete all the references from the reference pool. These that start with mod are the actual attachments. Mod call instead is the pool. So we want to go to the receiver pool and get rid of all the receivers that don't exist anymore because we deleted them. In fact, it tells you error, it could not be resolved because this receiver it was referencing at has been deleted. Let's get rid of these. So now when a SCAR H spawns into the level lists and has to pick a receiver, it will either pick this or this. And we're pretty much done.